As the world's attention focuses on whether the world's largest economy can bring its financial house in order, President Obama is pitching a message of shared responsibility, one in which both parties can set aside their ideological differences and come to grips with the country's growing deficit.
Both Democrats and Republicans agree that we should reduce the deficit. In fact, there's general agreement that we need to cut spending by about $4 trillion over the medium term. And when folks in Washington agree on anything, that's a good sign.
With the national debt now at $14 trillion and rising, many are not optimistic. On Monday, credit rating agency Standard & Poor's lowered the U.S. economic outlook from stable to negative, prompting a big slide in U.S. and European stock markets. David Beards, global head of sovereign ratings at S&P, explains.
And the reason for the negative outlook is that against the backdrop of what we think is the continuing rising tide of government debt, we think it's uncertain to us whether the Congress and the administration, as they're now trying to do, can come up with an agreement over the next couple of months, or indeed between now and the elections next year.
Republicans want to cut spending by $6 trillion over the next decade by trimming government spending on health care and other social programs, while Mr. Obama proposes a mix of spending cuts and higher taxes on the wealthy. Despite their differences, White House spokesman Jay Carney says both sides will come together on an issue of national importance.
We think that the political process will outperform S&P expectations. The president is committed, as he made clear in his speech on Wednesday, to moving forward in a bipartisan way to reach common ground on this important issue of fiscal reform.
Analysts say failure to do so would have far-reaching implications. Mohammed El Arian is head of the global investment firm PIMCO.
If the U.S. were to lose its AAA, borrowing costs would go up for everybody, the dollar would be weaker, and the willingness of the rest of the world to hold our assets would go down. So everybody would be worse off with a downgrade of the U.S. rating.
But Oliver Roth at Germany's Close-Seidler Bank believes the threat of a downgrade may be enough to get U.S. lawmakers to work together.
I don't believe that America right now is stripped for a downgrade, but what they received yesterday is a yellow card from the rating agency S&P, and they have to decide whether they go on like this or they have to change their policy concerning the debt situation.
The U.S. government is projected to run a record $1.5 trillion deficit this year, requiring lawmakers to once again raise the nation's debt ceiling. Standard & Poor's says without a plan, the U.S. could lose its AAA rating in 2 years. Arcega, VOA News.